Well, so let's just rip the band-aid off. So this is not going to be a review of just how much Resident Evil 6 sucks. This is actually going to be talking about, oh, how much I like this game. And also taking a look at why people might hate it. So, Resident Evil 6 came out in 2012 on the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and I think PC. It was later remastered and re-released on the PS4, Xbox One, and of course Switch. So Resident Evil 6 is the sixth main, well, actually eighth, eighth main installment of the series. And the story so far is that, well, you have this T-virus outbreak in Resident Evil 0, 1, 3, and 2, where the Arklay Mountains and Raccoon City got exposed to the T-virus. Then, of course, the events of Code Veronica, where Claire is searching for her lost brother Chris. Resident Evil 4, where Leon returns from 2 in an attempt to find the president's daughter and also be able to stop a mysterious cult. Revelations 1, which is kind of not really needed to be played. Still a decent game though. Then of course you have Resident Evil 5, where you follow Chris Redfield and Sheva Elamar as they try to stop a arms dealer and eventually find about Ouroboros. So of course Resident Evil 6 takes place 3 years after 5, and well, honestly for the most part, this game is it's pretty good, but there's a few things that do feel off about it. So, I guess I'll get into that in the later half of the video. So, of course, what is the story? Well, there's 4 campaigns. You have one with Leon and Helena, where the duo are, of course, blamed for the president's death after a C-virus outbreak in a small town. They, of course, have to go on a run and prove their innocence and eventually fight a man known as Simmons, who's basically kind of boss. Simmons is the antagonist and was kind of responsible for the president's death because the president was going to reveal what happened with Raccoon City, and he had some dirt on Helena. That's pretty much the storyline. Then, of course, you have Sherry and Jake's storyline, where Jake is immune to the C-virus, and Sherry has to bring him to safety so they can use his blood to cure the C-virus. Meanwhile, Neo Umbrella is also going after Jake so they can use his blood to enhance the virus. And of course, you have Chris's and Pier's storyline, where, well, they're just BSA agents, tackling the C-virus. Chris ends up in a coma, loses a bunch of his men, and tracks down Ada Wong as he believes that she's responsible for the deaths of his men. Then of course you have Ada's storyline, where it's pretty much just her kind of, well, finding out that she had an assignment from a few months ago, and eventually realizing that she has a doppelganger. Now, the interesting thing about Resident Evil 6 is all of these stories come together at some points in the game. Leon meets with Chris and Sherry at some parts. Chris meets with Leon and Sherry at some parts. And of course, Sherry and Jake meet with Leon and Helena and Chris and Piers a few times. Same with Ada. Now, Ada doesn't directly get involved in Sherry's storyline or Chris's storyline, but she is in a few cutscenes, or at least mentioned a few times. She appears more in Leon's campaign, which feels more natural because, well, the two literally have run into each other with Resident Evil 2 and 4. So, of course, I guess since the stories are out of the way, what is good about this game? What is bad about this game? And would I recommend it? I think what is good about this game is the characters. I actually like them a lot. It's great seeing returning characters, and it's great seeing new characters arrive too. The monsters in this game are also pretty fun too, such as the Bloodshots and a lot of the Juavo. Chaos and Ustanak are really cool bosses, and I do like Simmons boss fights too, especially the giant flying T-Rex one. Yeah, Simmons, oh, a dude literally transforms into a T-Rex and you have to fight him. I find that kind of cool. Other things I liked about this game was of course the Mercenaries mode, and of course the connecting stories. It generally felt like it rewarded the player by playing all the stories in this game, and I think Resident Evil 6 is a pretty good Resident Evil game. I felt like there's a lot to love about this one, and if you're just into the survival horror stuff, just play Leon's campaign and Ada's. I feel like that's definitely enough. But if you're more interested in the action parts, play Chris's and Pierce. Or if you're like me and you don't mind both, well, this might be the perfect game for you. The Mercenaries mode is also pretty fun too. There's quite a few stages, and while I do enjoy 5's Mercenary mode a lot better, 6's is pretty fun too, and I'm glad that got added in the game. The boss fights in this game are also pretty cool too. There's some challenging ones, but then there's some really fun ones too. And I think the antagonists for each of the characters were pretty nice too, especially Carla, who appears in Chris's campaign and Ada's campaign as a antagonist. As for the downsides, well, I don't know how I feel about Jake being Wesker's son. It just feels like it's trying to connect 6 to 5, and same with the Neo Umbrella stuff. This is the same issue I have with Blue Umbrella 2 in Resident Evil 7, as it just feels like it's trying to connect 6 and 7 to the other games. And the thing is that 6 would have been better if Jake wasn't Wesker's son. This is a minor nitpick, but just did feel like they were trying to really just connect it to the older ones, and I feel like it would have been decent if it was just left alone and allowed 6 to really be its own thing. Another issue with this game is that you can also argue 6 has an identity crisis, because, well, this is the first Resident Evil game without Wesker, and it's really the first one that doesn't. It's also the first one that really didn't have anyone from Umbrella involved either, because you had Resident Evil 0, Code Veronica, and 4, which 4 didn't have Wesker in it, where Umbrella is at least involved somehow, and Resident Evil 6, not really. It's just something completely new, and it could be argued that it didn't do as well in that regard. Not to mention, the game's also hated because it focused way too much on action. While this doesn't bother me, it has been a turn-off to quite a few players, and there's still some that do see Resident Evil 6 as the worst entry in the series, which is actually kind of sad. But I definitely recommend this game. If you're getting into the series, you might not like it if you love the older ones, but if you are even curious about this one, I definitely do suggest trying out this one. While it's not the most perfect game, it is still a pretty good Resident Evil game, and a pretty good game as a whole. I really did enjoy playing this one, and I'm looking forward to doing more playthroughs of this one on other consoles when I achievement hunt this game. So, that's all I really have to say about Resident Evil 6. It's a diamond in the rough, but it's definitely a game that has a lot of potential and has a lot of stuff going for it. So of course, thank you all for watching, and have a wonderful night.